Alright, good evening everyone. I'm TJ Reed. I'm the first affirmative, and I'm here to debate the topic of government funding embryonic stem cell research. We're the affirmative side, and we believe that government should stop funding embryonic stem cell research. We believe that this research has to be done at all. It should be privately funded and not funded by taxpayers' money. A brief background on embryonic stem cell research. This comes from www.stemcells.nih.gov. Most embryonic stem cells are derived from embryos that developed from eggs that have been fertilized in vitro in an in vitro fertilization clinic and then donated for research purposes. The whole reason behind this type of research is to try and find cures for certain disabilities and diseases by taking stem cells and specializing them into a specific part of the body in need. Scientists have said in the past that they'd be able to find cures using embryonic stem cell research, but still today none have been found. Embryonic stem cell research has been funded and going on for years, and still no cure of any type has been developed, and for that reason, that's my first claim. My first claim is government should stop funding embryonic stem cell research because it's wasting money. Embryonic stem cells are very unstable. Scientists have been working with them for years, and under government funds, and still today, scientists are having trouble with the basics, stabilizing a stem cell research, let alone getting them to the point where they can be used to cure diseases and disabilities. A quote from the Washington Post states, "Stem cells are quite volatile. They can spontaneously turn into specialized cells, thus rendering them useless for later work." When Obama took the presidency, he gave a $10 billion grant from the stimulus package to fund this type of research that's so unstable and has not produced any outcomes. Quoting from the Associated Press, the National Institute of Health have granted $10 billion from the stimulus package, part funding embryonic stem cell research. This quote was used just to show that the $10 billion was the actual amount given, and it's not an exaggeration. If the government keeps funding this type of research, we will keep wasting money just in the hopes that one day we might find a cure. And to put even a larger amount of money spent on this, other states are also putting funds in. New Jersey has a $5.5 million fund, Connecticut $100 million, Illinois $10 million, and Maryland $15 million. These numbers all came from the Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology News website. As you can see, billions of dollars are being put into this research, and scientists are still trying to find out how to control and stabilize embryonic stem cell research. My second claim is that embryonic stem cell research kills human life. When President Bush was confronted with this subject of embryonic stem cell research, this is what he had to say. "Destroying human life in hopes of saving a human's life is not ethical." He called the United States a nation founded on the principle that all human life is sacred. An embryo is a form of human life in development. They contain DNA, and embryonic stem cell research takes that DNA from these embryos and causes death to a fertilized egg, which in turn is death to a human being. With government funding this research, we as taxpayers are essentially helping scientists breed and start development of a human just to end up killing it, trying to find a way to use the stem cells to find cures. I guess the question here is how many lives will it take before we find a cure? So far it's been quite a few. My third claim, embryonic stem cell research is ineffective for finding cures. In 2001, Bush allowed limited research for embryonic stem cell research, and today, as mentioned before, scientists are still having trouble trying to find out how to stabilize these cells. When Obama took office, he lifted all restrictions and put in more money, and still scientists are in the same spot. No progress. A quote from the Washington Post says, "Embryonic stem cells are very unstable. Some cells that successfully grow in one laboratory cannot be grown in another." So even if one of the embryos does have a successful turnout, these scientists will not be able to reproduce it constantly, and it's very random. They can't even tell when one will turn out correctly. When Governor Gray Davis signed the bill, SB 253, he was authorizing the use of stem cells because scientists told him that treatments could be used with these embryonic stem cells to help find cures for chronic diseases. And today, no cures have been found. My fourth claim is there are other methods to obtain stem cells. Many other methods have been used to obtain stem cells. There's umbilical cords, which comes from Of course, after a baby is born and they cut the umbilical cord, they have that option to get stem cells from that. There's iPS cells, which are from skin cells, adult stem cells, and even stem cells from the placenta of women. And these are all different ways of obtaining stem cells without killing an embryo or human life. So it's more ethical. Adult stem cells have been researched just as much as embryonic stem cells have, and there has been more outcomes that are positive with adult stem cells. Now, adult stem cells are specialized and harder to work with, and they're not as free, as optional as an embryonic one, but because they have positive outcomes, it seems like this would be a better thing to put money to. A quote from www.godandscience.org says, "We know this is true because embryonic stem cells have never been used in human patients and won't likely be used in the near future." If we keep spending money on this type of research, it should be on more of these types of methods that are more ethical. We shouldn't spend any more money on the failing research of embryonic stem cells. So as you can see, we are spending lots of money and time on this embryonic stem cell research, and it has not gotten much further than we were from the start. And now I'd like to hand it over to the podium side.